Well, it's been a while, but I am back with some very sensational content. Now, what are we going to be doing today? That is the question. And the answer to that question is nothing. I'm just going to stand here. No, obviously I'm joking. So, my actual plans are to construct a medieval fantasy style house. And what's interesting is that I've never even experimented with this style of building before, so already things aren't looking too good. And the block palette is also a little peculiar, so I think it's safe to say that a lot of learning will be taking place today. And it also looks like I need to learn how to form my sentences correctly, so I think with that we will move on. But before we can even think about getting started on this house, I will need to do some resource gathering. I know, how exciting does that sound? I know it might sound boring, okay? I'm totally with you on that, but trust me, I think you will enjoy this process very much. So I'll go and do that now then. Well then, I guarantee that you'll have been pleasantly surprised by that. You know, I'm really happy with how that little cinematic has turned out. It took a little while to make, way too long in fact, but it's all about the presentation, isn't it? But anyway, all of that aside, as you can see, I've now amassed quite the assortment of materials. Hopefully this will be enough, fingers crossed. It would be quite embarrassing if I ran out of materials halfway through building, but that's not going to happen, so let's get this show on the road. But before I go ahead and roll the time lapse, I would just like to mention that about a third of you who watched the beginning of this amazing, extravagant adventure are not subscribed. Now, it is totally up to you if you want to subscribe or not. Okay, I'm not going to force it upon you, but I think this adventure is one that you'll want to stick around for. You know, I've got some big ambitions and plans of my own, but it isn't just me. There are 9 other members on this server, I believe, and every single one of them are really great people, really, really talented people. I would seriously recommend going and checking out the rest of the members' channels and just see what they're up to, just see what they're doing, because every member here has their own style, and not just style as in building style, but in the way that they make their content and their videos. So we have a really diverse range of people here, and, you know, I couldn't have asked for a better range of people to work with, so, you know, I highly recommend it. Anyway, I think with all that said, I will now roll the time-lapse. Alright, so like I mentioned earlier, what I'm aiming for here is a fairly medieval / Tudor style house. I mean, it's not really a complex design, as I really had no reference. I kind of just vaguely followed designs that I'd seen on YouTube a while back, just taking inspiration from different builds that I had previously seen, and of course I basically just combined all of these ideas together. And so I'm actually ending up with something that vaguely resembles a house, which was definitely surprising for me. I definitely wasn't sure how this was going to turn out. I considered basically just scrapping it a few times, but I'm really glad that I stuck with it, because in the end, I would say it turned out pretty well. But obviously you're going to have to sit here through the entire process, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, no, basically right here I'm working on the roof part, which was quite difficult. You know, it's not really a style that I have ever built in before. I mentioned this earlier. It was quite tricky, I'll say that. But, you know, I stuck with it, and yeah, no, I think it ended up looking pretty good. I mean, I was kind of just placing blocks, more or less just randomly at this point. I don't really have a design in particular that I was following, but like I said, it's especially right now, it's turning out pretty well, I would say. And I just want to quickly talk about the block type that I've gone with for the roof here. Originally I wanted to use dark prismarine, but we all know how difficult that is to obtain, especially this early on in the game, so I went with grey concrete instead. It's similar, but, you know, it's not the same texture. It's a very smooth texture, and you'll see what I've decided to do about that later on, but it's not going to look like this for the entire time, so just in case you're wondering. And here's a sort of tower that I'm building on the front of the house. I mean, this was an absolute nightmare to figure out. I thought I might have placed it wrong. As you can see, it was kind of colliding with the roof just a little bit. But honestly, I don't think it turned out too bad. I could have done better, but I think with the space that I had to work with, without trying to make it look too massive and ridiculous, I think it turned out pretty well. The roof was a bit of a hassle really, because trying to build it on the side of the house diagonally is a little bit difficult at times, but I think I managed to pretty much nail the design of the roof really. I think it suits it quite well. Well, I wouldn't say nail. There's definitely room for improvement, but I think as someone who's never really worked on this kind of house, I guess, before, it definitely hasn't turned out too badly. And as you can see here, this is the texturing that I'm just putting into the roof. So I'm using, I believe, concrete powder and wool here, just to give it a more weathered effect, and just to have some different textures in there, because like I said, couldn't really get any dark prismarine, so I had to improvise a little bit. But, you know, it doesn't look too terrible. I guess from a distance it might look a little bit better, but I think for what it is, it works pretty well, and it looks pretty good. Now at this point I'm just doing some more detailing and texturing around the exterior of the house, just to give it that more weathered and worn away look, because obviously this is a slightly older style house, you know, it's not going to be brand spanking new, so just like I did with the roof, I'm just trying to make it a little bit more weathered. And here I'm basically just putting in some shutters next to the windows on the tower. It did need it. It needed that extra detail. And as you can see, I'm having some troubles reaching the top windows, but I got there in the end. And around the front here I'm building a walkway that leads up to the door, basically just using some textured stones to make it look a little bit nicer. I then proceeded to place quite a lot of leaves around the entire build. I might have gone just a little bit over the top of the leaves, possibly, but I think overall I think it makes it look just that little bit nicer, and it really does add to the finished product. And finally, round the back here, a bit of a last minute decision, but I decided to make this sort of sheltered, small little area. I wasn't really sure exactly what I wanted to use it for at the time, but I had some spare materials left over from the build, so I thought I would just make use of them. Well, we now have an empty shell of a house, and nobody wants to live in a shell, except for a crab maybe, but anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and start the decorating process on the interior. ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce that the house is pretty much done. And I say pretty much because there are a few things here and there that I still need to do. A couple of places and spaces I need to fill, but for the most part, it is complete. So, let me take you on a quick tour around. So, honestly, I'm really liking it at the moment. I think it looks great. You know, I'm not gonna say it's amazing. You know, by far, there are better things out there, but I think for me, at least, I think I've done a pretty good job. You know, if I do say so myself. So, on the inside here, we have a little bit strange, you know, it's not really something you'd normally have in a house, but my thoughts was I could have this kind of globe thing here, and then I could have a wall of maps going around the entire wall here, which I think could look very, very nice. So, obviously, I do have to get the maps first, so for the meantime, this wall is empty, but I'll probably put some items in item frames on there yet, but I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to put on there, so I'll have to give that a little bit of a think. I'm guessing by now that you'll have noticed the the gigantic painting in the house. I mean, it's not really, you can't really miss it, can you? No, okay, it's a pretty prominent part of the house, but it's very dear to me. You know, I like this painting, and I'm gonna treasure and keep it for the rest of my days. So, I have I guess a secret storage area down here. Not really secret, but I just tried to make the most of the space that I had here, and then I just have a stack, just a messy pile of barrels, which might upset some people who prefer the more neat and tidy approach to storage, but you know, I think it's fine. I think it'll do just fine. I got a kitchen. I mean, what really do I need to say about that? It's a kitchen. And then up here is it's my bed, obviously. And yeah, it's a pretty nice little cozy area at the top of this tower. I think I'm really glad I built this now, because I can now sit here and look out the window and look at the cows on the fields. And it's a very nice experience up here. Very nice and high up and cozy. So yeah, no, I'm really liking this. You know, I think this is a nice, cozy little house, and you know, I think I've done a pretty good job. Oh, and I almost forgot about this place round the back here. So this now has a purpose, which is good, because otherwise it would be kind of a waste of materials. But it's kind of like a blacksmith area, I guess. Yeah, no, it's just got a grindstone and an anvil, which I have already used, but I'm not gonna show you what I used that on, okay? That's for a later date, okay? It's a secret, but yeah, no, I think this is a nice little cozy area. I'm planning to build like an actual blacksmith sort of building in the future, but for now, I think this will do just fine. And then of course we have the shrubbery and all the naturey stuff around the house. And yeah, no, I think it looks really good. So I am genuinely proud of myself. You know, I'm giving myself a nice pat on the back, because, you know, I'm really happy with how this turned out. So shortly after I got done recording that clip, one of my close neighbours on the server, Lillie, came round to see the finished product, and I have a little bit of footage from that as well, but you should definitely go and check out Lillie's channel. She makes some really neat stuff. But anyway, here is the footage from that.
Oh my goodness, it's adorable.
It's quite nice. This is you here.
That's me.
Yeah, I mean I'd say that's a privilege to be. It's a pretty big painting. It was quite a lot to commission such a masterpiece.
Exactly like it looks exactly like me. Good job.
This is the cake. I don't.
That's the cake.
It went a bit stale, so I thought, you know, I might as well just put it on display, and that way it just stays there. I have a kitchen as well, because everyone likes a man who can cook, so I do a lot of that here. This is my flowers barrel. I'm a collector.
Aww. I see you don't have any lilies.
I don't.
You do now.
But just permanently just stay there.
Yep.
Oh, and would you look at the time? It's getting pretty late, so I best be heading out. Well, it's 5:17 p.m., but that's not the point, okay? I'm nocturnal, okay? Don't make fun of me. Anyway, I do hope you found this video entertaining to watch, and please do consider leaving a like if you haven't already, because a lot of effort went into the production of this video, so it would certainly bring a smile to my slimy face to see some positive feedback. Anyway, I'm gonna shoot off now, so bye.